So welcome to this Did You Know session from BlazeMeter. Today we're going to look at how we can drive a mock service using a CSV file. So in this session we'll spend just a few minutes taking an existing CSV file with key value pairs, associating that with a mock service and deploying it. So let's get started. So we're in BlazeMeter now. We're clicked on the mock services tab. We're going to create a new mock service. So we click on the plus button and the mock service we based on a transaction. So this is our new mock service. And let's give it a name. We're going to call it Did You Know? You define the location where this mock service will be deployed. So these are public locations. These are what we call private locations. So these will be inside your firewall. And also the protocol you want to use for the actual endpoint you're going to deploy. Now we also need a transaction. So if we scroll down the screen, this is our transaction screen. I'm going to click the plus button to add a new transaction. And here's our new transaction. Now the transactions can obviously be made of different types. As you can see here, the different methods. We're going to do a get transaction. So we're going to say when you come to this mock service and you hit the lookup URL, we want to define what is returned. So we're going to change the transaction name to just lookup transaction. Now we can add tags to make it easy to manage and to work with. So we're going to associate this with a lookup tag. And in the bottom part of the screen for the transaction, we now need to define what is the request we're going to match on. I'm going to keep this very simple. We're going to have a query parameter saying when the inbound request is first name and it equals a certain value, then we'll send back a response. Now this value we want to use is going to come from a CSV file. So on the right hand side, as you can see here, we can start working with our data. So we're going to come in here. Now we could use data from other parts of BlazeMeter, but we're going to just use it using an existing CSV file. So I click on here. This is the CSV file that I've already created, and I can associate that with my mock service like so. These are all the columns inside that mock service, and we can click the edit button to actually look at the content. So you can see that our CSV file contains the title, first name, last name, email address, date of birth, and social security number. We can now take this data and use it in our mock service. So we're going to take this first name. So click on the copy the parameter name and just paste it into the value. So when this mock service is deployed and we see the first name equals and the value from our CSV file, we want to then define what response we'll send back. So we now click on the response tab. And in here we can define not just the status code of what we're going to return, but also what is the payload. So I'm going to just paste in my payload, and what you'll see is we're going to return the title, the first name, the last name, and these parameters, like we saw when we created the request, are going to come from our data model. I can save this. So we now have a transaction, which is here. We need to deploy it into a mock service, so we can click this little arrow to just move it to the right hand side to say that this mock service is made up of this transaction. We can click on run, and at this point what we're doing is saving that definition and also deploying it to this location. So this location is our public location, and in a few seconds this will be deployed. So we're now deployed and we've now got our endpoint. So if I take this endpoint and we just open a new browser and I paste into there, we'll get no match found because we need to actually add in the parameters for that transaction we just created. So if you remember, those parameters were the URL was /lookup, and then it was the first name followed by a parameter. So if I just put in a random value like so, you'll see there's no lookup. Let me just zoom this in. So as you can see, no match found. If we go back to our mock service and we just click on the data model within our mock service that we've deployed, we can see all the data that is based on the CSV file contained within this mock service, as you can see here. So if I take the first name of price, as you can see there, we just edit that, add that to our URL. You can now see that we're getting that data back from that CSV file. So we're getting back the title, the first name, the last name, the email address, as well as the social security number and the date of birth. And we've combined this as well with a function within the mock service to also get the date and time. So this shows how easy it is to deploy a CSV file into a mock service in just a few minutes. So what I've just shown you there is how in just a few minutes we can take an existing CSV file, build a transaction to leverage that data from that CSV file and deploy it, and straight away start getting value from that mock service within BlazeMeter. Please visit blazemeter.com where you can sign up and start testing straight away. You'll also find blogs that cover this topic and many other topics, as well as our BlazeMeter University where we have lots of free courses. Thank you.